Dr. Glen,
Yes, sir.
I have a topic I've been wanting to debate with you for a while. Does unconditional love exist?
This is very spiritual.
Is it?
I think so, because the whole concept of spirituality is unconditional love, right?
Well, I'm hoping that you can, I want you to take whatever direction you want on this, but I actually want this to be a debate. Like you can go hard at me. Bring your 20 years of experience, because I don't know if I believe that unconditional love is a real thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's get
into this.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do it.
Welcome to 12-Week Relationships. This is your place for better relationships in weeks, not years. This is really life and relationship coaching. My name is Pye.
Dr. Glen.
And welcome to our new set, actually. This is our second video on this set. We've done a little upgrade.
Yeah, we're moving on up, like the Jeffersons, baby.
Yeah, I think our content's always been quite fantastic. It's been top-notch, the frameworks, the program, all that. But now we're leveling up the aesthetic.
The design to match.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're looking more legit. Okay.
And acting more legit. No, we're already
Acting,
doing that.
not so much.
Sorry.
Teaching concepts, yes, super legit.
Our method acting it's improving.
Our acting is getting better.
I
You know
think
what?
so.
Let's get straight into this. Unconditional love.
All right, sorry.
I mean, here's the thing, is I want to start this off just by defining unconditional love, because I have a problem with just the definition itself.
Okay, what is your definition of unconditional love?
Well, I don't know that. Okay, I will define it as what I think could possibly exist. I believe that you can love somebody unconditionally so long as there are basically boundaries in place to keep that person at a distance if necessary.
So that's unconditional love.
I mean, that's the only definition of unconditional love that I could believe in. Like, I do believe that when a child is, like with my children that are young, they're innocent, they're dependent on us. And I do have unconditional love for them.
Sure.
But there's also a limit to even that. I have to acknowledge and recognize the fact that as those children grow older, right, as they are full-on adults, I hope that they make great decisions in their life. But with the life being the way that it is, they could go a number of different directions, right? And obviously, I'm going to love them through their mistakes and through whatnot. But if one of them just grows up to be a bad person, do I think this is likely? No. But if one of them grows up to be just a horrible human being, they can do enough to make me close off the relationship. I could still say that I love them as my child, but I would want nothing to do with them.
So so let's use that example. So at that moment, they become like a rotten adult and they're just a terrible person, right? You still wouldn't love them unconditionally. You still wouldn't wish the best for them, or you still wouldn't try to help them in some way.
That's where I'm saying, like, I would have to define it in a way like, again, let's go down a path that is unlikely, right? What if your child goes to prison, becomes a murderer?
Then I'd be like, I effed up, man.
Maybe you didn't. Maybe they just had a certain pathology that led them down that road. Maybe they had genetic and psychological issues, whatever it might be. Maybe you were a great parent, but they just completely derailed.
Then I would be like, okay, then that's not their bad. So, I mean, this is where it's going down the road. Like, defining unconditional love, I agree with you in this sense. In this kind of three-dimensional realm, unconditional love kind of doesn't exist. To me, unconditional love is this spiritual construct where, like, everyone has meaning and purpose. Like, every life is valuable, and regardless of what they do beyond this realm of life, they're loved, even though, like, they could do the most heinous things in the world. Outside of that, I agree. I think love is conditional.
I mean,
on many levels. There's expansion of love, but it's still a conditional basis.
Well, that's why I wanted to start with this definition, right? Because I can accept that everybody is worthy of love. I can accept that if there were, a heavenly creator, that they would love all of us equally. I can accept that aspect of it. But when it comes down to love in practice, I only see it conditionally. And that sounds horrible. But what I'm saying is that it's not that, like, I'm expecting you to do a certain level of thing. What I'm saying is that with enough breaches to that relationship, you have to create a distance, regardless of who the person is. And I know my murdering example was extreme, but let's say that your child is a drug addict. This is very common, right? You can love them, and you can even be willing to help them and support them through, whatever it is. But let's say that they've already lied and deceived you 10 times in the past, that they have come home, said that they're getting better, and then relapsed, stolen all your money, done things that are, they could do horrific things when they're, completely addicted. There is a point where you have to say, I love you, but no, you can't come home. No, I don't want to see you. Like, you need to spend 10 years, two decades, get your life together. And maybe down the road but
isn't that love?
That's what I have a hard time with. Is it love?
It is love, because what's the alternative, right? Like, you let them into the home and you're enabling them. And just because you're staying with them, but you're enabling the drug use, is that love? So like, discipline is love, right? Giving them space to grow or make mistakes is love, right? So if you want to stretch the definition of what love is, you're perfecting your loving by learning to discipline and set boundaries, and then also show compassion and do all those things that, I think that encompasses love. But once again, there's still a limit to it. You're trying to perfect your loving, but then this construct of unconditional love is more of this spiritual concept to me.
Well, yeah, because that's what I'm basically saying, is that if you can define unconditional love as loving with heavy duty boundaries in place, I can wrap my head around that. Like that can be real. I could love my children and want the best for them, but if they were to do so many horrible things, I could also say, look, I love you, I want the best for you, but I can't have anything to do with you.
Agreed.
And if you agree that that's unconditional love, then fine, I'm good with it. But I don't think that's the way that people define or describe unconditional love. I think they describe it as like, no matter what happens, you're going to be there for that person, and you're going to open yourself up time and time again. And I don't believe that.
Well, unconditional love falls, like, do you believe in a soulmate?
No.
Yeah, so then
I believe that, again, if you define it a certain way, I could believe it. Like if you said, do I believe in one soulmate? No. Do I believe in kindred spirits that you could define as soulmates, but that we have multiple? Yes. I do believe that there's certain friendships that are designed. I do believe that, I could have a number of soulmates in terms of romantic relationships. We only choose one, but there's a number of them out there. If you believe it from that standpoint, sure.
Yeah. So once again, that's a very spiritual concept of love, right? An unconditional love, but just in this everyday space, probably not.
No. And in fact, okay, so let's continue this. So problem one is the definition. I don't even know if we can come to an agreement. You and I probably can, but in general, everyone's definition of unconditional love means different things. Let's go with the prescribed idea of unconditional love, which is, let's say that we're married and till death do us part. It's you and me, ride or die.
Okay.
We're getting our acting hats on. All right. Now, the idea of unconditional love is that no matter who I am or what I am, you never leave my side. You love me.
That's unconditional love.
That's how I believe people
assume
live
it to be.
I think that's the ideal of it.
Right.
I think that's the idea. So now let's go into this relationship, and I stole money from you.
Okay.
Let's deal with that issue.
And then am I supposed to show unconditional love?
Yeah, be unconditional love.
Okay. How much more do you need, my man?
It's weird that you call me my man, but that's okay. I'm fine now. I'm sorry I did that. I won't do it again. A month later, I stole again.
That's okay, because all is forgiven.
Okay. But honey, I got to tell you, I have an addiction, and that's why I'm taking money.
Yeah, I know. And hopefully I'm going to support you on your addiction path.
Okay. Fast forward 3 years. Honey, I'm so sorry. I haven't been able to get over this addiction, and I have to tell you that I slept with someone.
I know you did. And we're also in debt because your drug addiction is costing us to lose money on the house.
I just told you I slept with someone. You're going to talk about our debt?
Yeah, because that's the least of my problems right now. But I'm ride or die. Ride or die, honey. I'm still with you.
Okay. 5 years deep. Still addicted. We now have a child. Yeah. I did quit during the maternity, during the pregnancy. I didn't do anything. But now I just can't deal with the stress anymore. I have to use. If I don't use, then I can't stay sane.
No, I agree with you. I'm going to do my best to support you.
10 years into it, you're raising a child alone. Honey, I'm so sorry, but I cheated again.
That's kind of your behavior. I already know. But I mean, we could do this forever. So is that love?
Let's stop at 10 years.
Okay.
What is the reality of being able to love this person?
They can't. I'm just enabling them. I'm basically enabling you. And then I'm covering for all the responsibilities that you should be doing. And then I'm actually allowing you to become sicker and sicker.
And
I'm getting sicker.
How long would you be able to do that for?
Some people have really high tolerance.
So some people could go indefinitely with this pattern.
We have, without naming, but we have clients that are in the similar situation.
I know that we have case studies and people that are going through this, but what is that unconditional love then? I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah. So in that example, it's fair to say that enabling or allowing yourself to just stay the course because you believe in this construct is not unconditional love.
So you would say that is an unconditional love.
That is not unconditional love.
Correct. Yeah. But I would say that by popular definition, staying with me, regardless of what, would be unconditional love.
It's a romanticized version, which is actually a very toxic version.
Correct. And I would say that it's also completely impossible. It's unsustainable, meaning your tolerance might be high. You can go 10, maybe 20 years. Very few people, they can do that their whole life. There's a small number of people that have that level of tolerance. The vast majority, though, 90+%, will eventually hit a breaking point where they say enough is enough.
So in that example, unconditional love means ultimate self-sacrifice no matter what. So that would be the definition that people live by.
I'm going by the popular definition of unconditional love, which I think is ultimate self-sacrifice and staying no matter what, ride or die.
Yeah. Versus the alternative of like, hey man, you need to go to rehab or we're done. You need to go through the steps. You need to become a better parent. You need to be a better partner. And then people will say that's not love, but that really is love because I'm showing self-love and saying that you can be a better version of yourself at the same time.
Yes, and if you defined it that way, I can wrap my head around it and I can embrace it.
So to me, like to make unconditional love or the construct or at least moving in that direction is it's a higher frequency feeling, right? It includes like self-respect. It includes requiring more, not expectations that are unreasonable, but requiring more of a relationship, more of the partner in the sense of you become a better version of yourself. It's this higher energy feeling that feels better.
I can wrap my head around that. I can wrap my head around the idea that I can love somebody while also knowing that there's nothing that I can do to help them other than just to simply separate from them.
Agreed.
And I can embrace that. Like I truly don't. I can only think of one, maybe two people in my life that I genuinely dislike. But otherwise, all the craptastic people I've met, I could still say I have love for you. As a person, I have love for you. You're a shitty person, but I still have love for you.
Because you've set the boundaries with that person.
Sure. Yeah. But that's what that comes with, right? It comes with the boundary of like, I don't want you in my life, but when I'm around you, I can love you and I can respect you. I don't want to be around you often. And even with like strangers who are just, a-holes, I don't, I can love them as people, but not want anything to do with them. Now, if you agree that that's unconditional love, then I can buy it.
So unconditional love in those examples, once again, it's not a feeling as much as a frequency state of doing things that are good for you, setting boundaries or, embracing real love. So it's just higher state.
It's a higher state that I would say you're doing things that are for the best of everybody.
Right.
Right.
So it's a consciousness more than a feeling.
So if you brought your children back into it, yes, I have unconditional love in the sense of like, I will always love you. But that comes with the understanding that sometimes there might be months, years, decades where that means that I can't see you. Agreed. If you go and behave a certain way. With a husband, a wife, a partnership, I can love you as a person, but I can also say that, we're going to both make mistakes in a relationship. We're going to both screw up. We're going to both hurt each other. But there is a point of no return. Meaning like, not necessarily any one particular action, but if you sit there and you draw on our emotional bank account nonstop, there's a point where we're so far in the red, there's nothing left. There's nothing, I can't even work our way out of the debt that you've created, emotional debt that you've created in the relationship. And at that point, I would say that, look, I can love you as a person, but I can't be with you. It's not sustainable.
Agreed. And then so once again, in that example, it's the emotion, the cost is too much. So this is no longer sustainable. But then leaving would be, even though as painful as it is, it would feel better, right? You would feel like it's the right decision that's made. You would do your best to say, okay, I don't hate you. You're doing the best that you can, but I'm going to move forward with my life. So unconditional love would then be a frequency or consciousness state.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can accept it from that standpoint.
Yes.
But the idea, the popularized notion of, you love a person through any and everything.
No way.
I do not believe that exists.
I
that
agree.
You open yourself up and be vulnerable to them. And frankly, I don't believe it exists even within everyone's spiritual examples. Because usually what comes up is, well, Jesus Christ. These different spiritual examples of people of extreme tolerance, right? I can also lay out plenty of examples of Jesus Christ kicking people the hell out of his life. Like, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
He kicked people out of the temple for selling things.
Sure.
He would, yes, did he have love for people? Yes, he loved everybody. But then he also chose who he was going to associate himself with. So that to me says that even spiritual leaders have boundaries.
Agreed. So in that example, do you believe that teaching is a concept of unconditional love?
That's, by my definition, yes. And that's the debate that I wanted to have, is how we define. I don't believe that my definition of unconditional love is the popular definition of unconditional love. I believe that my definition of this, like yours, is a smaller percentage of people that go, unconditional love is shown through, sometimes it's the decision that's best for everyone. Sometimes that means boundaries.
Agreed.
Sometimes that means distancing. Sometimes that means cutting off.
Right.
But still wanting the best for the person, no matter what our relationship is.
Agreed. So once again, it's doing what's better for the greater good, a higher energy.
Yes.
Conscious. Like even the example of Jesus, then it'll be taking it further. Take all religions and see the commonality and reach even a higher consciousness state. So that to me is like the direction of unconditional love. That is the construct.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And it's always doing, it's not being a doormat. It's not sacrificing to the point that you become sick or you're hurting yourself. It's doing what's best for you and what's best for others, given the circumstances that you're in. Perfecting your loving every single day.
Yeah. I like the way that you put that higher frequency of, making the decision that's best for everyone. This is a debate that I want to bring some guests onto the podcast and have this debate with them.
We should have like spiritualists come in, mystics come in.
Mystics?
Yeah.
I don't even know a mystic.
Mysticism, man. The concept beyond religion, bringing everything together, a higher level of consciousness.
Interesting.
The pursuit of unconditional love, perfecting loving every single day.
That's a lot.
Thanks, man.
We'll save it. I don't know if it was a good a lot, but it was a lot. I mean, you're like taking like a compliment. I don't know if I meant it as a compliment, but
I'm going to take it as a compliment because I am perfecting my loving right now. I'm setting a boundary right now.
I guess we're not going to lunch after this.
I guess not.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. That was a fun discussion. I hope all you guys enjoyed it. And, I should mention before we close out that it would be awesome for you guys to join the newsletter. Awesome for yourselves, because the newsletter is freaking dope. I make sure of that because I handwrite each of You've seen these.
I know. You put a lot of time and effort into it.
This is like excerpts from our book, from, our research, all of our different things. The newsletter is, it's a way of being able to communicate with you guys in a more step-by-step manner. These podcasts, these are, long-form conversations that kind of bounce around. They go through different topics. The shorts that we have, they're really short concepts, on Instagram and TikTok. And And they're little short bite-sized ideas that are easy to bring in and to share. But the email is something where we can walk through an idea in a step-by-step way, where I can really get into the nuts and bolts of something and explain it in a way that isn't possible in, well, anything other than a written form. So the newsletter is highly valuable. It's also the place where, so each week we'll send out a newsletter. We call it the TWR Roadmap. But within the newsletter is also the place that will announce the upcoming workshops that we have. So we currently have a 12-week online group coaching program that, well, by the time this is released, it'll probably be about to start. But that's where we will announce when those new programs begin, when you can enroll, when enrollment stops, and when the new programs are going to be available. And also we'll, have all the links to like online, like one-on-one coaching and whatnot. So anyway, it's a fantastic place to be. We promise that every single email will be highly worthwhile. You can sign up for it at 12weekrelationships.com, just right on the website. And in the meantime, if you guys wouldn't mind, jump onto iTunes, go to 12 Week Relationships. This only takes 1 minute of your time. Leave a review for the podcast. Glen always says
5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars. 5 stars.
Yes.
And write something too. We read every single one of them. We really appreciate all the support you all have given. And the reviews help other people to know that this is a valuable place for them. That's it for us. Oh, if you guys have questions, if you guys want to bring topics to the podcast, jump onto Instagram, send us a direct message, and we'll add it to the queue.
We love you unconditionally.
With boundaries.
Yes.
Okay. We'll see you all next time.